Hello Beautiful presents Shannon Ayers Speaks with the beautiful Bernadette Stanis, best known for her iconic role as Thelma on Good Times.
And whatever it is you've done in school, you can come out with it right now.
Thelma, honey, we know you were called into the vice principal's office.
It just kind of slipped out, Thelma.
Slipped out? With your mouth, it's an avalanche. Well, for your information, Toothpick, I was called in so they can tell me I have a good chance for a scholarship. Hey!
A scholarship? Hey, that's great, baby girl. Now, see, Florida, got me all upset for nothing.
I've known of your secluded nights. I've even seen her maybe once or twice. But it is a sweet expression for worth more than my love and affection. It's time before you leave my arms and rush off to her charms. When you look to find some comfort and a little Christmas cheer. So we gather round the radiator, wrapped up in a sheet.
Hoping someone shows some pity.
And that's all of the wheat.
And let's welcome Miss Thelma Evans. Hit it! Hey!
Shannon Ayers Speaks is excited to meet the beautiful Bernadette Stanis.
Hello, Miss Bernadette Stanis.
Well, thank you. How are you?
I am wonderful. We want to welcome you to our Hello Beautiful audience. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It is indeed an honor. In doing my research on you, as if I needed to do too much, because I mean, you're Bernadette Stanis. But I've seen so many of your interviews, and you get asked the questions all the time about the infamous Thelma on Good Times. And
my character, yeah.
Yes, but I find it incredible looking at you, and it's like time has stopped.
Thank you.
Been very good to you. So I definitely count it an honor to sit down and just have a little girl talk.
Thank you.
So I'm just hoping that my audience will be encouraged and inspired just because of who you are.
Oh, thank you. I think that sounds pretty good because, people, they do need some kind of answers now. They just, everybody's kind of floating, so we got to give them hope.
Oh, yes. Speaking of hope, tell me, during this quarantine time and this new time of a pandemic, and everybody's kind of shut in, and people are starting to get out and about a little bit more now because it's not as new. The newness is wearing off, but we do know that the dangers are still there. How has it been for you coping along with your family during this pandemic?
It's been very interesting because for the last, what I would say, 15 years maybe, since my mom, I was taking care of her for many years. And, traveling with the books and all the different, seminars and different things, I was gone a lot, like every other week or every other weekend. And, so my children would get me like a couple of days a week, and then I'd be gone. And, and I have a granddaughter who's 5, and I do want to be in her life a lot more. So I think that the pandemic actually helped my family because it brought us closer together. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot more. We just have more family time together. And I think that although it was a forced thing, I think it was a blessed thing.
Sure.
In its own way.
Absolutely.
As long as we are aware that the virus is rising and that it's very, very dangerous, if we protect ourselves as much as possible and do wear our masks, and people look at me like I'm nuts because I wear plastic gloves everywhere I go. So, you know, the gloves, I'm doing all that.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, lady, please. But you know what? I don't care.
Yes.
You know, so I just have, you know, fun doing things like that. And I keep telling them to wear the mask and everything. But I think that what it has done, even if we haven't done much, it just made it so that we could be together. The vibes of just being a family again.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
because once your kids go to college, once you have a career, you're doing this, and the little babies go to daycare. I mean, nobody's really, really coming together as a family. You know, we all eat differently. We set the tables, but, you know, I'll be right back, or they're watching something else. So, you know, it's all broken up. Now it's more or less, we're coming together like an old-fashioned family, like the ones I grew up with.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know when my husband and I started with our kids, we sat down at the table for dinner, you know, and we were together as a family, and many years until we started, you know, ordering on the cell phone, and then the kids learned how to order their stuff and do their things. And as recently as a couple of weeks ago, we came together and had a family meeting.
Good.
So we need to come together. So
and talk about things.
Yes.
You know, and you know, years ago, people would sit around the family table, and they would talk about their day. They would talk about problems. You could look at your children and see what's bothering them.
Yes.
These days, you know, before the COVID, a lot of times the kids would come home, they'd be up in their rooms. You come home late, you're tired. You know, you can hear their voice. How you doing? I'm fine. Yeah, everything's good. Okay. You know, but you need to look and communicate with your children face to face.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
That way you can see a lot of things.
Oh yeah. We started now at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Very good.
Our days start early. My day starts at 6 in terms of my work day. So now we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's a struggle to get up. But once we're up, we're sitting down as a family and chit chatting for an hour.
Yes, that's good.
Made a world of a difference.
That's excellent. You know, I think that what has happened to us is brought us back to the basics, you know, to know each other. And to learn some of the family things that we didn't know before. I mean, like I started talking about my grandmother, my great-grandmother. I talk about my father to my granddaughter. I talk about my mother to my granddaughter. I show them pictures. I share more of our history with them.
Wow. Which actually brings me to a question of wondering, we know you as Thelma on TV, and we know that that's a character on TV that is just so beloved.
Thank you.
Who is Bernadette the mom, Bernadette the wife, Bernadette the girlfriend, the friend? Or is that kind of intermingled? Because I know you literally grew up with Thelma. So as Thelma grew, you were growing and having experiences.
Exactly. I grew up as an adult. I always had Thelma with me. Very interesting. But, you know, I always looked at the show as a job. I always looked at it as a character, being that I studied acting. I understand acting. So I don't become the character. In fact, they didn't know what to write about this character because she was a girl from the projects and she was aspiring to become someone, and she was a good girl and she was a dancer and she was all these things, and they really didn't buy. They bought into it, but they didn't buy into it, and so they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do with me until I had to tell them that I am Thelma in that way. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and Brownsville, the projects. I'm the eldest of 5 children in a 2-bedroom apartment, and a mom and a dad. So there's 7 of us. So I know what it is to not have. I know what it is to be on Good Times. Good Times, they did better than us. I know what it is to ride in a nasty, stinky elevator. I know how dangerous it is when you go walk to school and you see heroin addicts on the corner. You understand? So I was raised that way. And the way my parents raised me, my father was something else. He would say this to us. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. If you ever decide to take heroin, this is what I want you to do. I want you to come home. I want you to turn the oven on. And I want you to put your head in it.
Wow.
Like, what? He said, because it's over. It's
Wow.
over. It takes one time.
Yeah.
And so we used to be so petrified of that. You know, we didn't try to defy that. I'll take it once to see. No, we're not doing it. And so, and he was, you know, they were strict parents. They were loving parents, but they knew exactly where each and every one of their children was at any moment of a day. You see, back in the day, you had to report like that. Yes. And, you know, so we grew up that way, you know, went to Catholic school and all that. And, you know, it was always to strive to be better. I remember looking out of the window one day and it hit me. And I said, oh my God, am I going to be here all of my life?
How old were you?
I think I was about 12 or 13 when it hit me like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm saying, you know, it's hope for all of us, no matter where you come from, no matter where you live. I would only hope that people are surrounded by at least one person in their lives that will encourage them. Right. You know, because sometimes you get you get sensitive people who are artists or very smart people that want to do something in life and they're ahead of us, you know, and sometimes parents or, you know, older siblings don't understand them. And then they call them names and they make fun of the way they are, and that inhibits them. So I just wish that as families, we'd all embrace each other and understand each other and look at the beauty that we have in each other and push that person to their dream.
Yes. Yes. Well, see, Hello Beautiful, and I constantly reiterate this, Hello Beautiful is about encouraging women and girls to understand their beauty by design and know their worth. Exactly. So having said that, that 12 or 13-year-old girl, and I can relate to that growing up in New Orleans, everything you described was my life.
My mother was born in Louisiana.
Yes. Yes. I read that. Yes. And so I'm sure you have some idea of what that experience was, you know.
Well, through my mom, through my mother, the type of personality that she had, very wise, very smart people, very calm, very intuitive, you know, like very, very observant. And she was a calm lady. And my father was the hot one. You know, he has the West Indian blood, right? He was born in Brooklyn, so he's American, but you know how West Indians are. We are like that. And so I blended good Thelma that way. She was, you know, flippant, this and that, but calm, and you know, because that's how I kind of really was. But I made her a little bit more hyped up than me, you know. But it, you know, New Orleans it was a beautiful experience as far as, you know, my family. I have a lot of family there, and they're so kind. Mm-hmm. Yes. They're so loving.
Yes, New Orleans people don't understand, and I think they probably think we're biased because we're from New Orleans. But we have had the opportunity. My husband was military; he's retired now, and we've had the opportunity to literally travel the world.
Wow, it's beautiful.
We have run into either Saints fans or New Orleans, literally all over the world. And that's the one.
You can almost tell them apart.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. There's not a place we've ever been that I could not identify or they could not identify us. It's like when we meet, and really, it even crosses racial barriers. As much racism as we have in Louisiana, that hasn't changed. But when there
are a lot of French there.
Yes.
Come from a lot of French. So it changes the whole structure, the look, the whole thing is a little different.
It does.
So I can spot them. Oh, and the accent I just love. I just didn't get it.
Well, I tell you what you do have, we love. And this is why for all of these years, you have so many fans of all age groups. of all, you know, like I said, just culturally across the gamut. I have not ran into too many people that did not have the good times experience.
You know, it's really interesting. I'm going to talk about good times a little bit, but I'm going to tell you about my experience growing up. My family had an array of colors because, you know, New Orleans, of course, my mother was very light. My father was Indian black. You know, he had like a lot of red. But all the children have a different shade. We all have different shades. And none of us really kind of recognized that.
Yeah.
They always talked about the character of who we were rather than the color.
Yes.
And so we didn't grow up with the prejudice with each other's colors or anything, like, you know, we just never did.
Right.
So to me, I was a lady and I was a teenager and I was all American and that was that. Happened to be black, you know, and that's damn black, but that's that. Yes. You know, I didn't understand, you know, it's no difference really.
Well, and having a family that's, I guess, in a sense, that diverse in terms of hue, how was it for you as a young female growing up in the projects in terms of you have your parents over here where you're rooted and grounded with them and they provide your structure, then you have your neighborhood around you. How was the young Bernadette, when she looked in the mirror, who did she see? And did she like?
She saw a little black girl, and my mom liked me, so I guess I was likable. That's all I understood. My dad loved me, so I guess I was okay. Yeah. I was, and one time I went to a school to speak, and my father is so funny. Somebody said, "Was she always beautiful?" My father said, "No, she wasn't." I said, "Dad," but you know, but it's very interesting. I was just a plain little old girl, and I did run into prejudice when I was very little, and I didn't understand that. On my floor, on the 10th floor, there were two girls who were like in Japanese and black, because it was kind of mixed back then. And then there was a visiting neighbor who was, her dad was white and her mother was black. So both of them, all three of them looked, you know, they were mixed and they were very light and they had very long hair. Mm-hmm. And I was just a typical little black girl with the little, you know, braid, you know, a little, you know, whatever. And I liked them a lot because we were on the same floor. We would see each other all the time. And so they said to her name, well, I won't say her name, but they asked the little girl, they said, you want to have lunch with me? You want to have lunch? And so I'm standing in the elevator also. So she said, yeah, I'm going to have lunch. I'm going to come over and have lunch. And no one said anything to me. So I said, well, can I come? Can I come? And they didn't answer me. And so when we got off the elevator, I looked at my mom and I said, well, Mom, why didn't they answer me? Why didn't they ask me? And she said, my mother was, this is how my mother was. She said, because they don't want you to come. I went, why? She said, I don't know why, but they don't. Then I think when I got older, she explained to me that I guess they were prejudiced. Mm-hmm. You know,
did you understand, I guess, as you started to get older, I guess putting it in context, what prejudice was, especially being in New York, which was still considered to be pretty diverse? Yeah.
And I mean, I went to school. I had an experience at school. I went to Catholic school, and most of the students were Irish. Mm-hmm. They were Irish and black. A couple of Puerto Ricans were there. And I loved this one girl. She was Italian, and she loved me. We were friends, and her brother loved my brother, and we were like, the four of us were always there together. And she lived like across the street. And she said, come on over for lunch. So my brother and I went to her house for lunch, and her father came home. And poor thing, I felt so sad for her. She couldn't make us disappear. Because she sure wanted to. And so her father came up and said, get those niggers out my house. Yeah. But I'm just, that was the very first time that I realized that, wow. I was in the third grade. My brother was in the first.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm saying, you know, kids are going to come up against that. They're going to come up against that. But the word, and I like I tell my granddaughter, I said the word nigger is a word that ugly people have given beautiful people. And I said, because we have lots of talent and people don't like that. I said, so when anyone treats you ugly and nasty and mean, and they ever call you a nigger, you call them a nigger right back.
Especially in the current climate that we're in right now, with my kids being military kids, they were used to being one of, two of, you know, my husband being an officer in the military, he was typically one of, you know, being a military spouse, one of. So as adults, we know what that experience is. And my kids, they have no clue. No.
And it's best that they learn on their own.
Yes.
Because the impact is a deep impact. And sometimes we cannot protect them from everything. They have to get hurt a little bit because that makes character.
It does.
So if they're hurt about it and they come home crying and can't believe it, you say, well, the world is like that. There are some people like that. And it's going to make you stronger. Okay. And I can't shelter you from that. So you'll have to learn how to deal with that as I had to deal with it, and your grandmother and her mother. So you have to learn how to become strong within yourself. When someone who doesn't like you for no reason at all but the color of your skin.
Absolutely. And that's really the crux of what Hello Beautiful is all about. And Hello Beautiful is not about a color. And I like what you said, you know, my husband and I, we grew up exactly like you did. And we grew up in the hood, and we were surrounded, our parents had their experiences. And so some of those experiences were visited upon us just in terms of how.
Well, they were the silent generation, at least my parents were.
Yes.
You know, and then my generation, we came out.
Yes.
With the 70s, we started something new.
Yes. And that's exactly what it was. And so when my kids are, you know, coming, my husband and I, we made a concerted effort as best as we could not to visit our experiences upon them so that they can look at people as people. And then when they got to a certain age, to really explain to them, you know, who they are and who they are within the confines of this world.
Of this world.
Exactly. Yeah, and it made all the difference in the world.
And once they're strong enough, because at home we build them up, and they go out and they see how ugly the world is and how ignorant the world is, then it really doesn't bother them as much. I mean, if they want to be a doctor, if they want to be a lawyer and things like that, it's the ignorance that they're looking at. You know, it's the mentality. It has nothing to do with their brain or their color or anything else. And once they're grounded with that, they can get over a lot of stuff.
Well, how was that for you, going back to that experience in the elevator and then growing up and being a mom for the first time? How was that experience for you compared to being raised with your strict parents and being raised in the projects and having those experiences?
Well, with my children, they had a different type of experience. They didn't grow up in the projects. They didn't have that kind of situation. They were more in a mixed crowd of people. And they fell in love with the kids because they had blonde, blue eyes and brown hair with whatever, and dark skin with this kind. And we embraced everyone. So they didn't have that. They didn't have that experiences. My children, I taught them that there's no prejudice with me. Like, my children love who they love. I said, I know, you know, you could love who you love, because you have to love their mind, their values, how they treat you. And I have no qualms about that. So
have you had any experiences with them Like anybody being prejudiced against them that you recognized and maybe they did not?
Well, unfortunately, I did have an experience with one of my daughters who actually really liked an African guy, and their parents did not accept her
Wow.
because
Wow.
she wasn't pure.
Now that's interesting that you would have that experience and kind of relating that to the eBay kind of thing with Good Times and Thelma. Did any of that, and I know that that's TV, but we know culturally a lot of the topics that Good Times touched on, during those times were real life things.
Well, to me, I always felt that when people get to know you, that they change. But cultures don't really change. People can change, but their cultures don't change. So when that happened and eBay was going to go back to Africa and have 5 wives,
Mm-hmm.
we can stay right in the projects and have that.
Right.
I mean, they won't marry you, but we can have like 10 of us. Yeah. So I just thought that was just absolutely a crazy thing then and now. But that is their culture.
Yeah.
And so you can't change cultures like that.
How was that for your daughter to be rejected by somebody that, and when I say look like her, you know what I mean when I say that, because I've seen so many Africans of different hues, and I can look and see a cousin and look and see an auntie, or look and, how was
they have a different perspective of American Blacks because we were the slaves. We were coming from the slaves. So they have a different perspective of us. They think maybe we're weaker. They think that, we don't take opportunities seriously. They think that we bought into the white man's mentality, so they are raised by the media because they don't know me personally. Right. So, I understand why they may do something like that. Unfortunately, it hurt my daughter because my daughter is studying to be a doctor. And for her to feel as if she would meet a person and they look down on her, not because her mind is good and that she's going to be a wonderful doctor someday, but just because she's an American. It was kind of different. She's his mother.
Wow.
That's so different to me. I said, yes, but that's okay. That's the culture of who they are. Yeah. And so if you're able to handle that, fine. If you're not, then fine.
Wow. How have your kids handled having an infamous mother?
Well, that's very interesting. They've gotten hurt more by me being famous than not. When I say that, I mean, I started to teach them when they were very, very little. When they start finding out that people would always ask them about their mom, what you got, and they want to come to the house and play. And I said to them when they got into other schools, a junior high school, whatever, I says, don't tell anyone I'm your mother. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So literally, they would say my mom's name is Bernadette, Fontana, whatever they would say, but they would never say my name, my last name as a star. And then I would go to the schools and I drop them off and pick them up. And very few people recognize me. And if they did, then they were cool. But, I always camouflaged myself and dropped them off and picked them up.
And that had to be hard because
it was very hard because it's like being ashamed of being a mom or being ashamed to be a star because people will treat your children funny. They'll treat your children. My children, the ones that didn't know, my children went through a lot of pressure behind that because it's like, oh, you think you're privileged, so we're going to make sure it's harder on you. Yeah. So I would say that my girls grew up and they became stronger women from that.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Because I can imagine as a young child, and you understand as an adult, as to why you're telling them, don't tell them, you know, I'm your mom.
Oh, I told them why.
Yes. But they, as kids, they can't really put it into the full, because they're still growing.
It's hurtful, I'm sure.
Yes. Self-esteem and a whole host of, how was that for them, or how is that for them now in terms
Dating.
of, say it again?
Dating.
Yes.
Well, that was very interesting because they were proud of me, and they would, you know, say who they were, and people would look me up, and then it would spread to the person's mother, father, cousin, brother, sister, and it became a family affair. And my children were lost in that. It was like, well, what happened to you? I was dating you. But all the other stuff that was put into them towards me, it drowned them out as a relationship. So I taught them again. I said, unless you change your name, you know, which you should, don't tell anybody. Just see who these people are, and if they like you for who you are, they're gonna find out. But you know, let's leave it as long as we can. So all of their lives, I've been always I told them never to tell anyone who I was.
So tell me this. So for Bernadette Stanis, and with probably one of the most recognizable faces out there, and like I said, I mean, it's definitely not just pumping you up. You still look like Thelma. and so where does Thelma stop and Bernadette begin?
Okay, Thelma stops at the studio.
Good.
Bernadette begins when she leaves.
That's good. That's good. And I ask that because you hear a lot of celebrities, and some of them scoff at it, and I guess get a bit frustrated, you know, because they have these, you know, we think about Jaleel White playing the Urkel role and finding it difficult to get work because people won't let go of that. How is that for you? And I know it's definitely a positive thing, and it has to feel good to know that you are still so beloved with everybody. But I would just imagine, just as a human being, just as a woman, to go all of these different places and all people see is Thelma.
Yeah.
And you know who you are, and you're confident in who you are, but people want you to be this all the time.
Well, I understand that. And I understand that because I played the character so real to them. Mm-hmm. That they fell in love with Thelma. And I do honor that, and I respect that. So when they come at me and they say, Thelma, we love you and everything, I grab them and hug them, and it's all right with me. Oh, I didn't mean to call you Thelma. I said, no, you know me as Thelma, call me Thelma. Now, if we become closer and friends or whatever, you will be calling me Bernadette because you know I'm not Thelma. But it's okay with me. I learned earlier that what else do they know? They fell in love with me. That to me is an honor that I played the character so well. I also realized that because I played that character so well, and I'm a beloved character, that people will not accept me in certain things. Mm-hmm. And I understood that at an early age. And so I'm very religious, and I pray to God. I've been praying to God since I was like 8 years old for some red shoes. I'll never forget that. There were some suede shoes that my cousin got, and I wrote a letter to God, and I said, God, can you please, you know, give me a pair of shoes like that? And my aunt kind of knew I wanted those shoes, and the next week she got me those shoes. I said, thank you, God. You know, so I'm like that kind of a person.
You see, prayer works.
Prayer works. And, you know, I always believed it. So I would say this to God. I'd say, God, you put me in this world. You gave me this character, and no one gave me this character but God, because that was it. I just auditioned, first audition, and I got it. So I said, it must be a reason why you put me here. Now you put me here, and in this industry, it's so different. I say, they really don't accept me to do this or accept me to do that at that time. I said, well, you have to help me to develop other things that I know you've given me, because you put me here. And when you start talking to God like that, and you know you have talent somewhere, and He has to develop it somewhere because you have to live, you get answers. One of my answers was I was told to write a book. Now, why? Write a book about what? write a book about what? And I became like a sister girl to everybody. Like when I would do plays, I'd meet a lot of people. They'd ask me about relationships and stuff like that. And so it kept coming up. And I said, well, I asked my mother before she had Alzheimer's. I said, Mom, they just keep asking me and I give them good answers about relationships. She says, well, write a book about it. Write a book about it. And that's when the book came. And I said, God told me a long time ago to write a book. So I started to write a book. Of course, I'm a painter also. So
Really?
yes, I am. I'm a painter, and I've been painting all of my life since high school. So that's another form of my art, and I'm going to do that too. So I know that he has many things for me to do, and I am a motivational speaker. So I do miss acting sometimes. It's fun, and so there are characters that I've done on stage mostly, not on television, but on stage. And I've been given a very fortunate life in that, and that I'm developing still. I still write, I still paint. So, I mean, with certain things in life, you have to understand that there's two sides to every fence. And you have to be willing to accept it. And I did.
That's beautiful. I mean, and I wasn't expecting that answer. And no, and not that I was expecting a bad answer.
No, but not that one, yeah.
No, but I think that's excellent. And this is why I like to have these type of dialogues, because we could talk about Thelma all day. We could talk about Good Times. I've seen every episode. There's not an episode that I can't just speak the lines. That's just, I mean, Good Times.
And I loved that show. Okay. And I loved Esther Roll, and I loved my character, and everybody in the show to this day that still loves me like I'm their sister.
Yes.
Because I'm that kind of a personality. I just take to people. I love people, but and so I just live with it.
But and it shows. It shows. Like I said, I could ask you a whole bunch of questions and tell me how. I've seen a lot of your interviews, so I could probably tell you what the answers are, because people ask you that all the time. But the goal of inviting you here is so that people can get to know
another side of it.
Yes, and know who the woman is that made the character. I am a firm believer, when I see a lot of actors and actresses and you see them in certain roles, sometimes their personality comes out in their roles, where regardless of what kind of role they're playing, you can kind of at least get a glimpse of who they are.
It's interesting you said that, because my mother said that when
Wow.
she saw me on the show. She said, it's something about television that people can see the soul of a person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And listening to the answer that you gave, I think it would probably make your fans appreciate you that much more. To hear you say, which is why I asked that question, where does Thelma stop and where does Bernadette begin? That's powerful. And the reason why that's powerful is because on one hand, you can appreciate and respect the blessings that came along with playing that character, but it does not diminish Bernadette in any way. I think that's awesome. Yeah. And people need to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still mommy. I still do everything normal people do. And to me, Good Times was a job.
Yeah. Wow. So let me ask you this. So then how would Bernadette define love?
Wow. Interesting. I would define love as, first of all, this sounds so cliche, but a lot of people look for love in other people for themselves. And sometimes it's okay when you're young, but as you get older, you start to realize that you love yourself. And when you love yourself and you honor yourself, there are certain things that if you love a person loves you, they won't even ask you to do, or they won't say things to you that shouldn't come out of their mouths. And one of my daughters just said to me the other day, Mom, is it action speaks louder than words, or words? I said, and she said, but the Bible says that comes out of your mouth. I mean, you can have clean hands and clean feet and be clean all over, but what comes out of your mouth could be so foul. And what comes out of your mouth is really in your heart.
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth
It's
speaks.
the heart.
Yeah.
So if you meet someone and they're gorgeous and you just have to have him and stuff like that, know what might come out of that. Now, if he's a good person, has a good heart, he won't hurt you with his mouth. He won't hurt you with his actions even. But if he isn't, and he hasn't developed yet, some people never do, and some people do early, then you're going to see the ugly, or you're going to see the beauty, and it's going to stay beautiful because that's who he is in his heart. So I said, if you love, you make sure you love someone that really loves you and loves your heart, knows how to speak to you, knows how to handle you, knows how to understand your language of love. If you say to someone, your words are hurting me, and you really love that person, you must change your words.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that
People can get mad and you can say stuff, but remember this, and I told my daughters this. I said, if you say something, it's like a bell. You can never unring it. It's there, always, even when you make up. I said, so remember, if you tell someone you want to break up with them, you have to know in your heart that's what you want to do. Don't be ugly, tell people things and you don't mean it, because somebody can take it seriously and walk away from you and your heart will be broken.
So with you being a mom, how was your relationship with your mom compared to your relationship with your daughters?
My relationship with my mom was extremely tight, very close. I knew from a very early age in my life, I was about 7, and I realized my grandmother died when I was 7. And my mother had a couple of children and she didn't have any brothers or sisters. And I'm the eldest. And I looked at my mother, and I was so close to my grandmother. And I was hurting so deeply, and I know she was hurting. And I looked at her one day, and I made it, and I was looking in her eyes, and I made a decision. I was always going to help her because she had no help. Mm-hmm. And so my relationship with her was very close. I listened to my mother because she was wise. She would tell me things that I didn't, maybe I wanted to do certain things, and she would tell me, and I'd get mad just like anybody else, but I'd sit there and I'd do it her way because I knew she knew. She knew. She was always there to tell me the right thing to do, whether I liked it or not, whether, she would tell the truth. So I had to deal with that. And she said, this is your life, Bernadette. I'm telling you the right thing. If you choose to do the wrong thing, it's your consequence. And I said, really? Yes, it's your consequence because it's your life. So when she told me that, I started thinking about that. And, a lot of girls at a certain time were getting pregnant, this and that, and all that. And I'm like, gee, this is my life. I think I'm going to be a good girl because I want a good life. That's what I kept saying.
Because you still have that kind of wholesome image. Because nowadays, once stars kind of move to like the next phase in their life, you see them on TV and reality shows, and you see a lot, sometimes not in the best of light.
Well, you have to make sacrifices. And what you have to understand is this. I remember when I was a young woman, every single year, Playboy would call me, my mom called us, and they would offer a lot of money for me to be nude. Now, I could have taken all that money and whatever it was, but I never wanted to do that. Never, ever. My mother said, you don't have to do that. You don't ever have to do that. And I never did. And, so some of the parts that they wanted to give me, they wanted to give me voodoo queens. They wanted to give me, sex objects and take your clothes off and, we see your body. And at that time, I guess I'm a shy person anyway. Even though I'm an actress, I'm still a shy person. So I would never do that. And I think after a while, if you're not going to do certain things that producers want you to do, then they just stop, and, well, she's not going to do it anyway, so we don't want that. So, but that's okay with me That's okay with me, because I know that I have children, I have daughters, I have granddaughter, and I don't want to be ashamed of what I've done. I want to be proud of what I've done. And if I can't be on television doing that, then I'll be an artist at an art show doing that, or I'll be at a seminar reading my books.
And that's beautiful, and which is again why we love you so. And that's not casting any judgment on anyone else, but we can appreciate that in you, and even sitting down.
Choice that I made.
Yeah.
A choice that I made.
Yeah.
And you know, and I realized that early on in the business too. I said to myself, I was studied at Juilliard, one of the best schools in the universe for acting. So I know acting. And I said, you know, there may be a possibility in this world that I may get Academy Award and then I may not get Academy Award. I said, but that does not change the fact that I can act.
That's right. That's right.
So I had to be within me, you see? And that's what I try to teach my daughters. Be who you are, no matter what the world pulls from you or whatever, because at the end of the road, you're going to be tossed anyway, because when you get older, they toss you. And I said, then you have to live with yourself. So make sure that when you get older, you could look in the mirror, you could say, well, like Frank Sinatra said, I did it my way. Not that you did it your way, but you didn't do it the wrong way either.
And you made your own choices.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and some celebrities have difficult times making those choices, and for different reasons. Like I say, no judgment, but you know, people make different choices for different reasons. I can only imagine how that is growing up in the projects, and then people are tossing all of these, you know, stuff at you, but then once they're done with you, they're done with you.
Well, that's normal. That's just life. And you know, you just have to decide, can you live with yourself if you do it? Just ask that question. If I were to do this, can I live with myself? If you say yes, then go right ahead. If you say no, then you shouldn't do it, because that's what causes you to go home, be depressed, start doing different things, because you can't live with yourself. So you really have to always honor your soul, your heart, what you want. And some people say, no, it doesn't bother me. And that's fine. I mean, if it doesn't bother you, you can do it, then that's what makes it spicy. That's what makes us see spicy people. It's fine. I don't put anything past anybody, because everybody has their own life, their own choices, their own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just how I always lived, and that's how I was raised to live. And, you know, like, you know, determination, you know, stand up for who you are, believe in yourself. If you can live with it, hey, that's you. Go live with it. My parents never shunned us from that. They didn't say, you better not do this, and if you do it, it's your life. I love you dearly, but you're going to raise your baby. I love you dearly. You'll deal with your own drug problem. That's how they taught us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put it on us. So if you want to handle that, go ahead.
Because see, that goes back to what you were saying about your dad, when he gave you the idea of putting it in the oven.
I'm like, oh God, but you start putting that, they're getting like, what? And you know, he didn't play. So,
but that was probably, I mean, one of the greatest lessons you could have gotten, because look at you fast forward with the choices and decisions because really all he's telling you is your decisions have consequences.
Sure
and
they do.
Certain decisions you make is just like putting your head in the oven. And so even today, you chose not to put your head.
You know, and you know, things happen in life, and you know, good things, bad things, and you have to learn to deal with them. But you know, the certain choices you make, that's what you did. You know, that's what's going to happen. You deal with this kind of a person, possibly this could happen. If you deal with this could happen. And there's nothing more you can do. I can't change you after 18. I can't say anything. You know, I can't go grab you and stop you. You're grown. So start learning how to be grown young.
Yes. Oh, I like that. That's awesome. No, I love it. I absolutely love it. So I ask all of my guests the question, which is a reigning theme for Hello Beautiful, defining beauty, loving me. How would you define that?
Oh, I love that question. But I do want to say this one thing before I answer that. I remember when both my daughters started high school. Okay. Now, being the kind of mother I am, like sometimes I have to go and travel, so I won't be there every single morning. So I literally told both these girls, I said, okay, now you're going to high school. And guess what? I won't be getting you up in the morning. I won't be asking you, have you done your homework? I won't be setting your clock for you. Whether I'm here or not, I won't do it. So if you don't get up, then you don't go to school.
Wow.
They said, that's what they did. My daughter, wow, what? What kind of mom are you? I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it all. So this is your responsibility. Okay, so you have to learn to get up and be on time for school, get your homework, make sure your clothes are together, and make sure you're at school. Because if you're not, you're not.
Yeah, that's good.
That's crazy. I know it's crazy, but sometimes when
But
you
it's teaching responsibility. That's good.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
and every day they made it.
Wow.
Because it was like, oh God, it's on me. I got to go to school. I got to do right. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I think that parents should, I don't know if all parents can do it with all kids, because some kids really probably would duck. But I don't know, my kids are I was very lucky that way. And I meant what I said.
Yeah.
You know, and if you drop out of school and you don't do that, it is your life. So I started with them when they started high school with that. Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't have to worry about getting them up. I could sleep if I had to, you know, I'd get up, I'd drive them to school, go back to bed, you know, just wake me up when you're walking out the door.
Yeah. But that's good. Because
that's what I did.
That was their head in the oven story.
Right, you know, that's your head, not mine. I went to school, I did my thing, so do yours. Yeah. And that's how I raised them. And so each one of them have their own responsibility to do their own thing, and I'm good with that. They ask my opinion, I tell them, you know, but I'm a real straightforward mom. So, you know what I mean? I'm very loving, very caring. I'm there for them. I cry with them. I do the whole nine. But this is something, you know, you have to do because you have to live. And I had to prepare you because I don't know how long I'll live in this world with you.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
so, please ask me that question again.
Oh, sure. So defining beauty, loving me. How do you define that?
I define finding beauty.
Defining beauty. How do you define beauty, and how does that relate to loving me, loving yourself?
Okay. Beauty is being true to yourself. My dad also said this. I was 16 years old. I was combing my hair in the mirror, and he looked at me and said, remember something. I said, what? He said, always be true to your heart. So beauty is being true to yourself and your heart. Mm-hmm. Because if you can do that, then you're loving what you're doing, whatever it is you're doing. Hopefully you're doing the right thing. And that makes you beautiful when you're happy in your heart.
Wow. And do you love Bernadette?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I thank God. I love God more because anything could have happened to me. I mean, I could be at this age very ill, you know, just different things. And he always blessed me because I listen to him when he tells me things. Like when I hear like my body, like if I feel something in my body and I say, this doesn't feel well, I'll go to the doctor. If it's okay, it's fine. But I know when to stop doing too much food here, or I know when I shouldn't go here. I just listen. If you listen to your body, you know, it'll tell you.
Yeah.
No, that's
awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell me about your current projects that you're working on.
Well, I have one called Dreams from the Edge, and that'll be out. It's a movie, and they wrote it. It's very interesting that I'm playing this character. She is very mean and very nasty to her daughter. Very opposite, you know, I play her. She's really rough. And she's nasty and ugly to her daughter because her daughter is an actress, a young actress, and she didn't make it. She never made it. So one time she did make it, and now she's old, and now she can't make it, and she tells her daughter, you know, I'm a better actress than you, and I don't know why you're doing it. And the daughter is like, Mom, why are you saying these things to me? So her daughter goes to the audition, and she loses the audition. And then I say, you know, I don't know why you don't just give it up. And then she asked me a question about why I hate her so much. And I said, I don't hate you. But then I had a flashback of when I was a little girl, and my mother, and I was going to be in a little school play, and my mother laughed at me and said, they would never pick you. And that particular character was crushed by that. So she grew up, she did the act, she did her thing, but she was mean about it because she really didn't believe in herself. And she ended up looking at her daughter, and she knew then why, you know, she was the way she was. And then she said to her daughter, I believe in you too.
Mm. When does that come out?
Huh?
When does it come out?
I don't know when it's going to come out. We're taking it to the film festival.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a very good. It's going to be a very good show. I have it on my Instagram. I put some stuff on there. You can go and look at that. So the character is very different than I am, but it's a very good character. I'm honored to play it. And at the end, my daughter happens to get me a job. And I stand back on that stage, just beautiful and happy. I'm just so happy. They dressed me up. Now I'm dressed up. Again, before I was looking a mess. But but it's a beautiful story, the way they wrote it.
Hello Beautiful is going to follow that.
Okay.
And watch for that movie to come out, and maybe we can even have
from the edge
or a showing or something.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
because that's telling the story of a lot of mother-daughter relationships,
and not only just in the acting world, but in any world that they're in. You know what I'm saying? It just you know, you're making it and I'm not. I wanted to be a lawyer and didn't make it, and you are, and you know, the whole nine.
Well, yeah, we will definitely follow that, and I will make it my business to try to make it a Hello Beautiful event where we can go and watch that movie and then talk about it.
Thank you.
You know, once it airs, and we'd love to
because it's about women. It's about women.
Yes.
It's about mother-daughter relationships.
Yes, and tell me about your foundation that you started for your mom.
I have a foundation called Remembering the Good Times, an Alzheimer's foundation. And most people would say, oh, that's because you're on good times, right? I said, well, you know, partly. But what happened was I took care of my mom for about 10 years when she had Alzheimer's. And that's another thing that one day we'll talk about, because it's about caregiving, being in the sandwich, having a daughter here and a daughter here and being here and having mommy. So maybe part of me telling them I can't get you up in the morning was part of that too, thinking about it. But it was rough. And you know, so then mommy was watching Good Times because she loved to watch Good Times. So she knew there was correlation with Good Times because, you know. And so one day she and I were watching the show together, and she said to me, you know, that's a cute little old girl.
Wow.
And it was like a knife in my heart. And I realized this monster, I call it the monster of the mind. And I said to my mom, yeah, Mom, she is a cute little girl. But she no longer knew it was me. And that was the thing that changed our lives. So I said, you know, when this thing is over, because, you know, it does what it's going to do. When this thing is over, I'm gonna form a foundation called Remembering the Good Times in her honor.
Wow.
And that's what I did.
If somebody wanted to contribute to your foundation or be a part of your foundation, what do they have to do?
Well, they just go on rememberingthegoodtimes.org.
Okay.
Yeah, and everything comes up there. They can do whatever they like, comment, you know, different things.
Awesome. Yeah. And you wrote the book about your mom, The Last Night. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, while I was doing the book tours, I had my mother with me every day. And I said, Mom, wouldn't it be nice? Because she was not too bad off then. And she would be sitting next to me and everybody would be asking her, well, how did you get her the good time? And what was she like as a kid? And da-da-da-da-da. And mommy would do a little answering. But she started to decline, you know. And I said, Mom, you know, it would be nice if you had a book too. And we were sitting together writing and signing our books. And she said, I would love that. I said, well, what color would you like the book? She said, I can see it in light blue and white. And I said, I said, you'll tell your story, your life story and all that? Yes, I'll tell it all. And we started to write the book, and Alzheimer's came faster than we could write the words, honey. So the last night of Mommy's life, I had her in my arms, you know, and I was talking to her, and I could see it was time, and I started talking, and I said, you know, Mommy, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I said many things to her, but I said that, and that's what I meant. And it took me, that night, I went home and I looked online for a prayer. So I wanted to start her book with a prayer. And I found the Serenity Prayer, but I had never seen the Serenity Prayer in its totality, never. I always saw the 4 lines. So I saw the whole prayer. I said, oh my God, look at this prayer. You must look at that prayer. And I said, that prayer is going in the book. Wow. And so it was that night I started it, but I did not finish the book. It took me 5 years.
Wow. But what a way to honor her. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's my life story. I mean, it's a little part of my whole life story, growing up and who she was and how she did her thing, and my dad, you know. So, you know, I gave it to all my family members so that they can read it one day when they get ready. So they'll know, you know, a lot about us, and some of the kids and my nieces and stuff, they'll grow up, they'll have that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. We're definitely going to keep following you and see what else you're getting into, and can't wait until your movie comes out.
Thank you.
And one of the ways that we kind of round up the show is I do a word association. And so I will say a word to you, and then you tell me what comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Dreams.
Possibilities.
Dance.
Expression.
Art.
Calm.
Quiet.
God.
Honey.
Cunning. Honey?
Uh-huh.
Like the honey?
Yes, like the honey, like your
okay.
grandma.
The steam room.
Okay. Esther.
My second mom.
Eula.
My heart.
Thelma.
My girl.
Awesome.
My girl.
And the best one of all, Bernadette.
Still growing.
Love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Shannon.
This has been awesome. It's been an honor, and you're true to form.
Thank you.
You are true to form, from the lady on stage, on film, on television, to the lady that's sitting before me. I look forward to the day that I can actually meet you face to face.
And you are wonderful. You are so easy to talk to. It's like talking to you is like talking to my best girlfriend.
Oh. And I didn't pay you to say that.
No, you didn't. You didn't pay me to say that one.
Wow.
But you have a beautiful spirit, a warm spirit, engaging spirit, and you're going to go far in this business. If I can help it, you will.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That means so much to me. It really does. You are a beautiful person inside and out. Your daughters and your family are blessed to have you. We are blessed.
And I'm blessed to have you.
Thank you. I will say until we meet again.
Oh, I have a poem about that one day. I'll read it to you. It's called Until.
Oh, okay. So we're just going to put a ... And look, I'm looking forward to it. I know this will not be our last engagement.
It won't.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon.
You be blessed, you be inspired, and I pray nothing but the best for you from here and onward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have my Instagram. Go to my Instagram.
Oh, yes. Tell us your social media handles.
Okay. The Instagram is Thelma of Good Times.
Okay.
I'm in a red blouse. I just won't take it off because that's how I describe it. But I do have the blue circle.
And we'll put that up there so they can see.
Okay. And my Facebook is Bernadette Stanis. There's another Bernadette Stanis, a whole bunch of Bernadette Stanis who are not me, but that's okay. I have the blue circle.
You better
Yeah. And then I have Thelma Good Times. That's my Twitter.
Well, we will make sure we have all of your information on there so that people will know how to get a hold of you.
All right. Thank you. Hey, my birthday is December 22nd, and I want to reach 100 followers by December 22nd.
Okay. All right.
I have 92.1.
Okay. Well, Hello Beautiful can help get
I
you.
have 92,000.1.
Well, we're going to make it our business to help you get there.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
On the next episode of Shannon Ayers Speaks, Hello Beautiful, we are excited to meet Dr. Marisha Sherman, who is the founder of Her Groove, an empowering initiative to encourage and equip women to follow their passion, purpose, and dreams.